Zoning, the Portsmouth Zoning Board is now in session. I'm Ben Farrell, the Vice Chair, acting as Chairman. I'll do a roll call, a voice roll call. If you please indicate your presence as your name is called. Mr. Raposa?
Present.
Ms. Horitz?
Present.
Dr. Donovan?
Present.
Mr. Lorenzo is not here. Mr. Kelly is not here, and Mr. DiMattino,
Present.
our newest member. And Ben Farrell is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a quorum, so the meeting can continue with business. Due to our retirement of Jim Knott as chairman, the rules say we now have to have an election, so we'll go through that. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The entire board will vote on the election, and so do I have a motion nominating someone to be chairman of the Zoning Board of Review?
I vote him.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Raposa nominates himself? Do
Oh, no,
I?
I thought I was making a motion to vote.
Oh, no, nomination. Who?
Oh,
I nominate Mr. Raposa.
Okay, Mr. Raposa has been nominated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Raposa to be chairman for a 1-year term. Would anyone like to amend the motion with other candidates?
I would like to nominate Mr. Furiel.
I decline as chairman. I'd rather have Mr. Raposa do it.
Oh, okay.
That's so no more nominations. The motion is closed and we will vote. All in favor of Mr. Raposa as chairman for the next year, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries in its entire unanimously. And now Mr. Raposa is chairman.
the hot seat, huh?
Yes, sir.
We didn't discuss my benefits yet. Slide over here.
Secretary.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And now we have to
Thank
vote
you
for
all.
secretary
Yeah,
because
so now the next order of business is electing a new secretary since he's now not here. So I'll, you want to make a motion to,
yes, Scott, I move to have Ms. Horitz as zoning board secretary.
And I second.
that?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Welcome.
All opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Raposa.
Right. I think the first time will be a little rusty, but I think the next item on the agenda would be to approve any meeting minutes. Is there any to,
There's none on the agenda for this meeting.
okay. All right. Moving along, we've got some new business. First item would be Lisa D. Russo, applicant for property located at 30 Attleboro Avenue. Tax assessors map 3, lot 3. The applicant seeks a 3'3" front yard dimensional variance to extend the existing front portico. Right. What?
These
Are
are,
these,
these are administrative reviews, so
Okay.
they have to be advertised and notified, abutters have to be notified because of they're under administrative review. If no written objection is heard, then after 14 days, they are approved. If objection is heard,
Mhm.
then they will be moved on to the next zoning board meeting, which is this meeting. I haven't received any objections for either one.
We don't have to ask for
It has-
letters or interested parties
It
here?
has to be, it's explicitly written,
Okay,
written objection,
okay,
and it's spelled out in state law.
all right, so just reading them for,
Yep, just reading it.
right. So we're good with that?
Yep.
All right, the second petition is John Bronson, property located at 20 Benedict Ave, tax assessor map 54, lot 99. The current applicant seeks a 7.5 front yard dimensional variance to construct an addition to an existing dwelling.
Those have. been
Nothing in the,
Nothing written, no written objection.
all right. Okay. Right, so moving along, are we keeping the same order with this?
We're gonna do number one as number three and number.
So we're gonna go to number two.
Go to number two first, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have Mr. Gaston. Would you like to take the stand? Okay, there's enough, right? We can do four.
Hello, everyone. Court Chappelle on behalf of Mr. Gaston. Congratulations on your new appointments. We are here. This is a good old fashioned petition. As you just heard, the new administrative rules are a little bit different. But this is a good old fashioned petition where Mr. Gaston owns property on Bristol Ferry Road, identified in your petition. Did that to you. But he currently has a home that has no garage. He wants a garage. He's not responsible for the fact that the house is in the middle of a 17,000 square foot lot in R20 zone, and it doesn't leave the room to put an adequate garage, in his opinion, without meeting on your sideline setbacks. Remember that your setbacks in a R20 are 30-foot front, 30-foot rear, 15 sides. Remember that your lot coverage is 20%. Even with the garage, this only gets to 12%. So the fact that it's a substandard lot is certainly not overbuilding, because it's still very low. But unfortunately, the architect was not able to draw a very usable garage because of the current proximity to the sideline. So there's a drawing in your packet that shows a rather unique garage. It actually steps back. And certainly for my architect on the board, you'll see that the house is askew to the lot line. So if he drew a parallel garage, he would only need 8 foot in the front, but he'd need 4 or 5 feet on the back because of the skew. So instead, he holds that 8 feet, which is a 19-foot garage to hold the door size for both the man door and the garage. And then he steps it back to make it deeper. That step back is for the sole purpose of not increasing the variance when you get back. And you're going to hear that I believe that to be the least relief necessary to draw a building a little funny, not to encroach more to meet the needs of Mr. Gaston. So I think the proper thing now is first to swear him in, and then I will ask him the questions.
Mhm.
Remember, for everyone, that because it is a dimensional variance on a substandard lot, we have both the criteria for a dimensional variance, that it's compatible with the neighborhood, least relief necessary, more than a mere inconvenience to deny them the same. And we also have the substandard that fits in the neighborhood, not a public health and safety violation.
All right.
Sound right, Aaron?
Do we need to swear him in?
Yes.
Just,
Yes. Just raise your hand.
Yes, would you just like to raise your right hand? Just to tell the truth. Say your name for the record and address.
I, Jason Gaston, swear to tell the truth.
Jace, how long have you owned the property?
Address,
Oh, I'm
228
sorry.
Bristol Ferry Road in Portsmouth, Rhode Island.
You're here, this is your property,
Yes,
okay? How long have you owned it?
about 14 years.
Okay. Who's your neighbor?
My mother Pam and my, on the other side, Joe Nunes.
Okay, your mom's here?
Yes,
Now, currently, do you have a garage?
No.
Currently, it's a 4-pitch roof, so you have an attic, but you can't stand up in it?
yes,
Does the combination between no garage and no attic give you challenges in the storage capacity?
oh, definitely, yes.
And where do you store your motorcycles and your lawnmowers and your things now?
Right now, they're in my mother's garage next
Ah.
door.
You kind of want to have your own storage?
Yes, very much so.
Based on that, did you start exploring where you could put a garage onto your property?
Yes,
And this property is, I call the acclamation, that you're on the south side of the house that you're proposing a garage?
yes,
And the north side has less room than the south side? Or it wouldn't?
yes, and there's no access, no doors.
That's not where the door you come in now is, and it
Right.
would enter into bedrooms instead of the current design?
Correct.
That gave your architect a choice that he could only go to the south?
Yes,
Okay. And the house, I notice, is not parallel to the property line, but askew to the property line. So if you came out parallel 15 feet, it would require more of a variance in the back than you would in the front. Is that right? And I yelled at everybody to tone it down and do what we call the least relief necessary. And that's how you came up with the drawing to meet the storage needs that you had, to have a one-door garage in the front, step back, so you held 8 feet from the property line. Is that right?
Correct.
So what you're asking for, because it's 15 feet, is basically a 7-foot side yard variance. Is that right?
Correct.
And you didn't cause the problem? You didn't put your house,
No, no,
you know, if it was a blank lot, you could have moved the house over a bit
correct.
and accomplished this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in your opinion, it's the least relief necessary for you to enjoy your property and to have a garage?
Yes.
And your storage needs
Yes.
include 5 cars apparently?
Right. Still wouldn't cover it, but it'd be
Okay,
much better than what I have.
but things that are outside now can go inside,
Yes.
and things that are in your mom's garage can go in your own.
Yes.
There's a second set of standards about you're still gonna be able to get around the house with public health and safety, that the other side of the house is clear, anybody can get in the back.
Yes.
And when you look at your neighbors, including your mother's house to the north and your neighbors to the south, both of those houses are located closer than 15 feet from the property line.
Yes.
So this is gonna be consistent with the neighborhood.
Correct.
I believe that's all I have.
Any question?
Yeah, if this is an undersized lot, shouldn't the required setback be less
It,
and adjusted?
I did that. It's not enough. We still need a variance. I was trying not to confuse you, but you are absolutely correct that it's 17,353 feet, which is about 88%. That would only get 15 down to about 12.
But then aren't you asking for a variance for less than if you don't take that into account?
It's true, but I think it's fair that my variance is requesting to place the garage 8 feet from the property line. You are correct that if I calculate that out, instead of a 7-foot variance, it may only be a 5.2-foot variance. But we could, if we to eliminate my math, if you would be inclined to vote on it, it's to place the house 8 feet away, to the variance necessary to trace the house
Okay.
8 feet away. That would give you the precedent of less of a variance than.
That's what I'm saying. So in
Absolutely.
fact, he's only asking for a approximately 5-foot variance, not a 7-foot variance.
And for the benefit of everybody, that's obviously January 1, we started to do that, and that's what caused these administratives. But this one still requires a variance, and it's a little
Yeah.
silent as to whether or not I now ask for a 7-foot variance from the original or a 4.4 variance
Just-
from the adjusted, but you are correct.
Okay,
Which one are you requesting?
So not to confuse you, I'm requesting to place the garage 8 feet from the property line, which is 7-foot variance without adjustment and less than that with the adjustment. The amount less would be, and I could do it quick, but it's 17,300 feet into 20,000, which is 90% or so, 80%.
Okay.
That would take 15 feet down 1.5, it would take it to closer to 13.5.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But it's gonna be a point, I'd be here at a variance going, can I have a 4.637% variance or something instead of, can I have it 8 feet from the property line?
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
The abutters or interested parties?
I can represent that mom is here. and I-
Chief here on a positive, or she would like to explain, make a complaint?
I can represent that she's positive.
She wants the lawnmower out of her garage.
All right, ready to vote?
We check on Zoom these days, or?
Oh, do we still check
Oh, yeah.
the Zoom? Does
Yeah,
anybody on?
Nobody's
Nice,
online.
Oh, yeah.
new to this. Make a motion to vote?
Yes, sir.
Second,
second,
you want to start off? Mr.
Okay.
Farrell?
Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve the application. As described, Mr. Gaston doesn't have a basement, a garage.
I'm sorry, he doesn't have an attic and he doesn't have a garage. I think he does have a basement,
Do have-
partial
Okay,
basement.
Okay.
Sorry.
Strike that, please. A garage is a typical accessory use for a dwelling. The lack of it is, represents a hardship or would represent a hardship for much of Portsmouth, since the overwhelming majority of Portsmouth homes do have garages. Storing valuables and machinery inside is reasonable, and there's no reasonable alternative to a garage to allow Mr. Gaston a reasonable enjoyment of his property. This is not the result of a hardship, or this hardship is not a result of prior action by Mr. Gaston. It doesn't alter the general character of the neighborhood. The houses on either side of him have garages. And I commend you for making sort of a single stack garage to making that as narrow as possible, and limiting your setback request to only 7 feet. So, Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve.
Okay.
Second.
I vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
Vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
The chairman votes to approve for reasons previously stated. I think it's a reasonable design and wish you good luck.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have Mr. Canali. Come up. Please swear to tell the truth and say your name, full name and address for the
Eric,
record.
swear to tell the truth. John Canali, 59 for Portsmouth.
A second. Going forward, just can you read the whole item?
Whole thing first.
Yep,
Okay.
just what's on the agenda, read it first, and then we'll.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so John Canali, property located at 59 for Avenue. Tax assessor map 48, lot 35. The applicant seeks a 20-foot rear yard dimensional variance to install an in-ground swimming pool 10 feet from the property. Okay. You'd like to fill us in on what your plans are?
Yeah, I would just like to put a pool in for my wife and daughter. Not much more stated than that. That's good with everyone here.
This is the only location that's you're able to put it in. Is there any other means to?
Yeah, we looked at some different spots. This is really like we're just, obviously it's a new development, new neighborhood or whatever. So, the way the slope goes down, this is like the most level area, to put it in. And, we just need that room in from the backyard or whatever that was, at 30 feet or whatever, to actually put it in, because there's no other real spot. One side was the where the propane tank is, and the other side's like really like sloped down and still be pretty close. We don't really have a side yard if you're looking at the house on the left. So this is like really the ideal spot where we kind of set it up. So
Where's the propane tank here?
it's if you're looking at the house, it's on the right side. Kind of like right on the right side of the house.
Is that the west side? Yeah, is it the right side when you're on the street looking?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're looking at it from the street, like right on the right
Oh,
side.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Where the F is?
Yep. And the patio, so yeah, so I already put the fence in over here. So it'd be like this, it really is like the only spot, so I put the fencing because I have a dog, so I don't.
So it's outside the fence, is that correct?
No, it's inside the fence. The propane tank's on the other side of the fence.
So, Mr. Canale, you.
Canal,
Can,
canal.
sorry. I'm concerned because pools typically generate noise, people noise. And your neighbor behind you, it looks like their house is right on the setback about 30 feet from the property line. And your yard sort of represents a clean canvas right now. I went by there yesterday. There's no other hardscape or anything like that. So I'm wondering, what would prevent you from moving the pool either farther sort of towards your house and to the.
We have a patio out there.
So the patio is that size, is that correct? Or is it larger than that?
This patio, I'm just, yeah, that's the deck, and then right off this deck here is patio.
I don't know if
We can't see where you're pointing.
Yeah, well, is there a different with the deck on there? I just see the patio.
1 second.
The patio is,
Yep.
that's a deck. I
Okay,
don't know why this says patio. but Right off of that is a patio.
okay, that's the most you can see. So for example, you could turn your pool 90 degrees
Oh,
and move it,
This way, you mean?
yes, and then
Still
move,
need variance, though.
right, and then move it even,
But I mean, it doesn't really, so, yeah, do you drove to the neighborhood?
yes.
Yeah, it's, I mean, this, everyone has kids, it's a pretty loud neighborhood
Yeah.
already. So, I don't think it's, I wouldn't see that as a big deal, and well, I know Ron, but that's actually here.
You'll also have the pool, the pumps and all the,
Pumps and all that stuff's gonna be right, it's gonna be,
you have the 10?
who's got the mouse?
I got the mouse.
Yeah, up, over, yeah, it's gonna be on.
Near the house?
Yeah, near our house.
And the F's a propane tank? The
What's
F
that?
the F is a propane tank?
Yeah, the propane tank is.
It's gonna be a P?
No, it's over, it's closer to the house.
What is the F?
I don't know. But that's right where the propane tank is, where we have the mouse, right there. So there's a garage, actually, it's farther up, actually. Right there, probably, that's where the propane is. Okay.
but it does look like with that much yard to work with and, it's a new neighborhood.
I got it fenced up, so I
Okay,
came off this, cause I didn't wanna get, so I fenced it in, so I didn't have to do the survey, so I came way in on the side, cause I didn't wanna get this off deeper.
Yeah.
This side here is right on, the fence on the back side is right on the property. I got that from the, well, flat map.
frankly, I'd rather not have pools right up against the property line. You're going to have,
10 feet off, right?
right, you're gonna have an apron around the pool?
Yeah, and we'll put, some hardscape around. It's not gonna be right on the fence, because the fence is right there, so. it
Yeah.
can be-
Yeah, the wooden fence, that can be moved, I'm not, I know it would be an inconvenience, but in terms of
Yeah, there you go.
sort of enforcing the zoning rule, it seems like putting the pool there is great for you. It keeps most of your lawn kind of as one unit. You're not splitting it up with a pool. But it pushes this pool, pretty much as close as you can get to the property line with your neighbor only 30 feet behind you.
Yeah. It's fine with it.
Ah,
I asked him.
okay. Where is your septic field? Is it,
On the front.
Okay.
Right there, yeah.
okay,
So if the only reason you can't move it further away from the property line is because you've put in the fence, is that correct?
Yep.
What kind of fence is it? Is it a vinyl?
No, we can't do the vinyl because of the HOA or whatever.
What is it?
Wood. Cedar.
Okay.
It's cemented in there.
as near as I could tell in the development, there aren't any other pools in there yet?
There's a pool on Windstone and
Yeah.
then there's a, the Jenga's over here. See that right there? Over here to the right. They have a. Whatever.
Jacuzzi.
The Jenga.
Yeah.
But I mean, off of Quarry, there's a million houses with pools.
Yeah. That's all the questions I have, sir.
I'm just thinking it's,
And we put the fence up because, I had to, I put it up before I did the pool because I traveled for work. I have a dog. My wife was pregnant. It just had a baby,
Yeah.
so I wanted to get that right when we moved in,
Yeah.
so.
So is the fence aligning with the south end of of the house?
Is that the
Yeah.
south mean the back?
Okay.
Yeah.
The house.
So if, just say the fence isn't there, if you said, I wanted to pull it forward, how much room is between? If it's 10 feet off the property line, the pool is 16 feet wide.
Yep.
right?
16 by,
And how much room is there before the house?
mushrooms where?
Like how many more feet between the pool and the house is there, right? You got 20, so 26 feet
Oh,
off
yeah,
the
it's-
property line, what's that?
It's tight.
What does that say right there?
It's
50 feet?
1632.
The patio's right there, so.
I don't understand why it can't move further towards where the F is.
Correct.
Even if there's room, I mean, if you had to split the distance between your fence and the property line and put the pool in the middle, then you're gonna have maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing, like 15 feet on either side of it,
There's a patio.
but
It's obviously not done here, but it's out.
So off the deck, there's a patio?
Yeah, yep.
So does it square off with the house?
It's a little bit further out.
but it could still slide up. The
Right.
pool could still slide up, even with the patio then.
And if you rotate it 90 degrees, then there's even more room. If you put the pool near where.
Well,
the F
it's
is.
50 feet, that would mean it'd still be 10 feet if it was inside the fence. Right?
Right, what I'm suggesting is that if we go back to the diagram.
You've
If the,
got,
if the pool was centered around the F,
yeah, I mean, you've got 50 feet there from the
Yeah, it's a big
property
yard.
line to the edge
Yeah,
of
but
the
it's
house.
fenced, it's fenced off.
I
I
can-
know it looks big here, but if you go and see it,
yes, and,
it's fenced off. Trust me, I think like,
right,
I wouldn't have come here unless I had to. We measured it all out and whatever. I talked to the guy, we asked him about the different orientations, like,
so.
obviously I wouldn't have to, I
so
wouldn't want.
This certainly won't be your opinion, but I think if you're putting in a pool and the fence has to be changed, that's just the price of putting in a pool.
Do they have to take the fence down to get in there?
They're gonna take they can take the gate off, if that slides off. I mean, I'm not gonna do it if I take the fence cost me a fortune.
Oh,
But even if you leave the.
Have you put a
fence-
fence in recently?
I do have a fence in my back.
When's the last time you put a fence? Since COVID? It's like 25 grand. I'm not. I mean,
But
I got a 1-year-old, I got bills, so.
Even if you leave the fence there, you've got, and it's a 16-foot pool, you've got 17 feet and 17 feet. plus the 60.
about turning it
No, I'm not. I'm even talking about sliding it,
Where?
sliding it up
Closer to the
towards the
house.
F.
the
So
back.
you've got,
There's a patio there. You can't, it doesn't slide.
but where is, but we can't see the patio, so we don't know how far it
I can take
goes.
pictures of it and send it to you. I mean, I don't, I'm telling you, there's a patio there though. It comes off the bulkhead.
Where's the bulkhead?
It's on the picture. It was just up there.
You wanna go back to the GIS?
I think,
I can't believe this is that much a big of a deal. I mean, the patio comes out here off the bulkhead. I'm just trying to say, I'm centering it right there. None of the neighbors have any problem with it. Everybody in the neighborhood hangs out. I don't know why. it's-
Yeah, the problem is that
Federal
it's
case.
setting precedents. It's not that it's a federal case, but if we have to consider the whole community and precedents.
Has anyone in the community said anything though?
But
Our
people
question
buy
is-
houses and sell houses, they might not be the community in 5 years, you know?
how about would you be opposed, when are they gonna put, when are you planning on putting this in?
I was gonna try to dig it this fall. It doesn't sound like that's gonna happen, so.
How could we? Can you come back with more detail and just to help explain to everybody what, is that possible? Is that gonna hold them up? Or if you said, well, I just
Yeah,
I think sometimes without,
What you
Okay.
could do is you could request a continuance if if they need more information, you can request a continuance.
what information do we need? I don't understand what the.
We can't
issue is.
visually see where your patio is and how we could.
So I'm supposed to get, what do you want? A satellite image of the house currently or what do you want?
Well, either overhead or.
or just
drawn on the map.
take one of these and just measure it. And just draw it in there. That way it can be,
Yeah, all right.
I mean, it's, I think it's just not representative of that.
All right, so
I think we understood it, like I can't, I understand I putting in the setbacks and
So what you would do
I
is,
understand how expensive fences are. I just think if It's not
It's a
this
pool.
petition,
I'm
it's
not
just-
putting up a skyscraper. Like, I don't understand why it's like a,
So what you can do is they're looking for more information, so you can request a continuance to the October meeting. And then you can come by my office and we can see what more details that they want that you can provide.
Alright,
But
fine.
you just have to request a continuance.
I'll request a continuance.
Can you make a motion for that or say?
Yeah.
Make a motion for a continuance till next
Move
meeting.
To continue this petition till our regularly scheduled October meeting.
When is that? Anyway?
Third Thursday in October.
What is
The
it?
17th.
17th of
You here?
October.
Yeah, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Second.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay,
I don't understand why it can't be slid up and be on the edge of the table.
well, I mean, there's enough reasonable.
We can.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right, next petition, excuse me. Going back to the top here, we have Mary and Michael Zani. Is that? Did I say it right? Sorry. Zani, I apologize. All right. Of course, I said the opposite. Could be worse. Oh, property located at 60 Riverside Avenue, tax assessor map 10 lot 13. Applicant seeking a 1 foot 5 dimensional variance for 2 storage sheds located in the side setback of the property from the property line. Please state your names for the record and
Good evening, Michelle Hawes on behalf of the applicants here. And I will introduce Mr. Zani in just a moment. I just wanted to briefly present this project. Desitil Browning.
And your name, ma'am? I'm sorry.
HAWES. If you didn't, my name is Michelle Hawes. I apologize if you couldn't hear.
HAWES, it's on the first page.
So, good evening.
Mhm.
As you're aware, the applicants are seeking variances to allow for the 2 storage sheds in the side yard. This is a substandard lot pursuant to the statute with the dimensionally reduced proportions. The lot size is 48% of the lot. So with the side setback of 3 feet, reduced to the 48% of 3 feet would be 1.44 feet. So dimensionally, in terms of the distance from the side lot line, under the terms of the state statute, it would be within that proportional reduction. So in theory, we wouldn't need to ask for any additional relief in terms of the distance from the side lot line. Primarily, we're here because these storage sheds are in the side yard rather than in the rear yard. And the reason for that is probably pretty evident from the plans which were submitted before you. The current structure, the rear yard is entirely essentially encompassed by a deck that has been pre-existing. I'll have the applicant testify to that in a moment. But essentially that deck has been there prior to the applicant's purchase of the property. And it provides for no room for storage. The applicant's going to describe the hardship here as the need for storage. This is a waterfront property. So the rear property line abuts waterfront. So for that reason, there's also a lot of flooding issues on the property, and storage is an absolute necessity for this property. Again, it's a small substandard lot. So the structure on the property encompasses much of what is already there on the lot. If I may, I'm going to, if I could have Mr. Zani sworn in and I'll ask him a few questions.
I'm gonna make a clarifying, I'm over here. I'm just gonna make a clarifying statement for the interpretation. We interpret, RI General Laws 45, 24, 38 B of applying the dimensional requirements as stated in the land space requirements table in Article 4, Section B, and we don't apply it to the special modified reduced setback requirement of 3 feet for a shed. We don't apply that to that special modification. We only apply the proportionally reduced setbacks to the actual dimensional requirements of the lot.
Like I said, I think that, as council said earlier this evening with the newly enacted statute, January 1st, there's a lot of gray area, which is why we asked additionally for the 1.5 feet of setback relief, if that's deemed necessary. I just wanted to show that proportionally, this is a substandard lot. So usually sheds are allowed 3 feet. We're asking for it to be 1.5 feet away from the property line rather than the 3 feet. So if I can have Mr. Zani sworn in, I'll ask him a few questions.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. You, say your name and name and address for the record.
Yes, Michael Zani. I go by Mike. 60 Riverside is the property, but I live on 1350 Anthony Road. I swear to tell the truth. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Zani, are you the owner of this property?
My wife and I are, yes.
And are you currently residing at the property?
No, my mother-in-law lives there.
Okay. So are you familiar with the property?
Very, yeah.
And when did you purchase the property?
We purchased the property 3 years ago.
And
3.5.
And have you made any alterations to the structures on the property since your purchase?
We did. We removed some dilapidated lockers, sort of cabinets that were bolted onto the side of the home that were too far gone and sort of rat infested. This home does not have a basement or a garage or an attic. So it is in dire need of space, and those lockers weren't due. I think in the document we noted the square footage of those lockers. We also removed some deck to reduce the lot coverage, to support further coverage with the sheds.
Other than the sheds, which we're discussing here, have you done anything to increase the lot coverage since your purchase of the house?
Air conditioning evaporator units that are noted in one of the diagrams. There's a little bit of lot coverage. It's actually under the roof eaves for 50% of it. So, no, nothing other than reducing the deck, removing the lockers, adding the sheds.
So the rear, the deck in the rear, that was not something that you added on?
We redecked it, but it was the same size, other than when we reduced the deck, we changed where it was a wraparound to the front, and it was a little quirky. We just removed that area. I think it's also denoted in an image.
And there's less than 7 feet of clearance underneath the deck, correct?
Yes, it's a very shallow, or it's a very low ceiling height on the first floor. It would have to be a custom shed to fit underneath the existing deck.
And if you put something underneath that deck, you wouldn't be able to use any of the backyard space next to the waterfront, correct?
It would, there are 2 ground floor bedrooms facing out on the water. It would cover the view there and reduce access to the dock. If a shed of approximately that size was put in the rear setback.
Okay, and with your application, you provided some pictures, correct?
Yes.
And that depicts what the rear yard setback currently looks like?
Yes,
And so there's like there's a picnic table currently and you can see windows facing the waterfront.
correct.
And so it would be more than a mere inconvenience to attempt to place any sheds or storage in that area, correct?
We would probably have to go back to this sort of locker style configuration, which was bolted onto the side of the house to accommodate any sort of storage.
And that would be a hardship to you,
It,
correct?
it would be. We store, we're at 8 feet above mean low water. So I keep a gas trash pump back there and 150 sandbags, and we are actively trying to keep the water out. Actually, 3 times last winter. So just because of the gas in the trash pumps and the wet sandbags, we do need a place to sort of keep our water fighting equipment, which we actively deploy from those sheds.
And I think you already went into this, but you don't really have any other storage possibilities in the existing structure, correct?
Very difficult. It would be very difficult to do.
And the neighborhood in which you're in, a lot of the lots are small substandard lots like your lot, correct?
They are predominantly.
And a lot of the lots have structures that are on or near the lot lines. Is that correct?
I don't have a complete auditing, but it is a very tight neighborhood. We are on top of each other in a friendly way, but it is the sort of thing that you look over the fence and say hi to the guy next door. And our neighbors are on that side of the house are in support of the sheds. And I could see them being the people who wouldn't want those sheds.
So in your opinion, does the sheds existing where they do in the side yard of the property, does that conform with the characteristics of the neighborhood?
I think it does very much. We try to keep it as we line them up so you can't see them from the road. As 2 sheds, they look like it's a single shed. There was a fence across that. It was more of a visual obstruction. I think it looks better with the current shed configuration. And we painted it the same as the house to try and make it blend in.
And is it the least relief necessary for you, in your opinion?
It really is. I would I'd be up against the evaporators on the AC units. And those fans need some sort of ventilation space to operate effectively. I could probably seal 6 inches, but not a whole lot more than that.
I have nothing further unless anyone has any questions.
Questions?
I have a question for Aaron. What's the maximum size of the accessory structure? Is it 200 square feet or less?
There's no maximum size of accessory structure. It's basically 120, if you have a 120 square foot shed, it can be 3 feet off the property line.
So the fact that they're 2 doesn't, and it exceeds the 120, that's not an issue?
No.
Okay, and my other question.
Sorry.
My other question is, wouldn't they need a variance for the rear yard because they're so close, they're 17 feet from, or is that because of the reduced?
It's a reduced,
The
yeah.
reduced, okay,
Yeah, that's not an issue.
okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
I do have a question. I think you just described it, but the flood abatement stuff that you have, is that gasoline powered pumps? That kind of stuff, things that are potentially flammable?
I drain the unit every time I use it. But there are gas jugs in there, but I keep them in, marine grade fuel containers, and they're labeled with what they are. But they do still smell like 2-stroke engines.
Yeah. And then on the side of your home that would have the sheds, there's a fence between you and your neighbor.
There is.
Is that your fence or your neighbor's fence?
It's my fence, and the seawall or knee wall more of a seawall, is mine as well.
Okay, and then there's a row of arborvitae on the, not on your side of the fence, but on the other side of the fence. Is that yours also?
No, I do not believe those are mine.
Okay.
The boundary stick is on the what would be the east side of that wall by a few inches. So the wall is not on the line. It is close to, but on our side of the line.
Okay, now, I went by the home yesterday, and looking at it from this angle, there are some steps that go up to your deck. And there was a door right next to the stairs. You know what I mean?
In front of the car?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the entrance.
Right, right.
To the.
To the
ground
house.
floor.
Right, right, and it looked like the deck height was a little taller than that door.
The ground floor deck height?
Yes.
Should be like 6'8".
Oh, that little walkway, which comes from the road, has 2 steps down
Okay,
to the sort of shells.
okay. Because it looked like there was a good, 6.5 feet underneath the deck, and you did this flooding abatement equipment was stored under your deck previously.
Before we owned the home, I don't think they had flood abatement
Okay.
equipment.
Okay,
I think they've rolled the dice.
okay. But there was storage there.
There were lockers,
Yeah.
unknown. It was emptied when we found it.
Okay,
It was, but they were in disrepair, correct?
They were in disrepair.
Yeah.
Like, and in what nature of disrepair? I think you mentioned.
Like, yeah, rotten and rat infested sort of level of disrepair.
right. My concern is there's no access for firefighters on that side of the home with those sheds there. You have 18 inches between the wall of the shed and the property wall. No firefighter is going to be able to get through there. Certainly no one, carrying anything is going to be able to get in there. And both of your neighbors between your home and their home have more of a, much wider space that does allow that kind of access. And so I'm just concerned that with those 2 sheds in place, we're violating kind of the rule or desire that we have adequate space for fire protection around the homes. So you're gonna have equipment in this thing that is gasoline. You're gonna have stuff that runs off of gasoline, and no way that anybody could get around there, certainly not a firefighter.
There was a fence blocking that
Previously.
that he removed. So is there actually more access there now than there was previously?
Well, there's 18 inches between the wall of the fence, between the wall of the shed and the fence. Right,
Well, no, there was a fence that went across the
No,
front
no.
of the property.
no, I mean, what we're looking at now is there's a fence on the property line,
Yes,
and 18 inches away from that is the wall of the shed.
right. What I'm saying is before the shed was there was a fence that went perpendicular that cut off that pathway entirely.
Okay, I'm not sure why that's relevant.
Because by putting the sheds there and removing that fence, he actually made it you're more able to access the rear than you previously were able to.
I debate that because we're still left with an 18-inch path.
Is your concern the proximity to the shed with the fuel in it to the fence, and if it caught fire, it would
Well,
spread, or
Well,
was?
that and, we have a
The criteria.
yeah,
Correct.
criteria that allow fire and emergency access. And I would argue that an 18-inch gap between 2 structures, a wall and a shed, isn't anywhere near providing access.
So I think the 18 inches is between the property line and the shed. I think there's more space between the house and the shed. Now, there are evaporators there, and if I'm carrying something large, like if I was a big fireman with air tanks, it would not be, you could fit, but it's not an easy fit. This would not be their first choice. But there is room to pass by there walking. And it's because you're sort of under the eaves of the house. But there is great access on the other side in the back, and it's a very small lot. And the fuel is in the forward shed, which is closest to the road. And you can see by that picture that doors open to the street.
Can I ask Mr. Gavin a question? If this hypothetically, if it's approved and there's a fire and it spreads because there's fuel within proximity, because the houses are so tight, is there any liability?
No.
So I'm just asking, I'm new to this.
It's not against the fire code.
It's not against the fire code. So there's,
That's what you're asking.
so how do we, like, I understand his question. I'm just trying to. So where's how do you define and say, I understand there's room, how do you say that's, what is it, what's adequate fire protection? Because
That's
somebody can
for
walk
the-
through it.
It's for the building inspector. I mean. Right,
And that's for
he's the one who would make.
So I'm just
sure
wondering on the
it's-
safety issue, I understand, I think it
Safety.
looks great and everything, I just am trying to figure out where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Understand, I was.
In addition, I don't want to be argumentative at all because I am aware that you have these additional factors set out in your ordinance. However, the Rhode Island State statute in regard to the factors to be considered in regard to a variance don't have anything to do with fire protection safety. So in terms of the analysis that the zoning board, I would suggest the zoning board need to undertake, it would be those statutory factors.
Well, I don't agree because you are, whether it's safe or not, but you are affecting the neighborhood. So in that sense. That's one of the criteria, what effect are you having on the neighborhood? I mean, that's the previous application. That's the issue we had is it was fine. We don't care in his property if it's only 10 feet, but it's the effect on the neighborhood. It's the same here. What happens if there's, that's what we have to consider, not.
Well, I would also say that Article 6, Section A, 4A, does it allow adequate space for fire protection?
And like I said, I am aware that that is within your zoning ordinance. I'm just saying that Rhode Island state statute specifies very specific guidelines for the type of considerations for a dimensional variance such as this one. And that I would ask the board to keep to those considerations because that is what Rhode Island state enabling statute has provided. And that is that it is more than a mere inconvenience, that the applicant has demonstrated a hardship, and that I'm sure your solicitor knows even better than I, but
Mr. Lindo, didn't the requirement for more than a mere inconvenience, isn't that removed?
I have them actually up here now.
My understanding is we don't consider that, and there are a couple other things that dropped out.
Okay.
These are the current.
Least relief necessary and
Police relief necessary is not there and greater financial gain was eliminated.
Oh, okay.
more than inconvenience is still there.
Okay.
I'll just interject if I could, that the provision of Article 6, was it 6A4?
Yes.
For many years, that was in the ordinance and was not considered at all. And then because of at some point, then the board started considering that and actually called it special use criteria, which really is not special use, it's additional criteria for a dimensional variance. There have been some, in the recent changes to the law, there's been a change in the definition of dimensional variance, which just is tied directly to, as defined in Rhode Island General Laws, section 45-24-41. Aaron and I have had some discussions about this, and I think council raises
a potentially valid point that, that our Article 6A4 is not specifically sanctioned by the Zoning Enabling Act, and perhaps we were doing it right years ago when we
Okay.
did not require that as part of the, but this is all an evolving situation, so I think, I don't want to say anything totally definitive, but I think the focus should be the dimensional variance criteria that are consistent with Rhode Island General Laws, section 45-24-41, which is, the basic criteria for a dimensional variance. So I think there is a legitimate potential issue as to whether that section Article 6A4 is appropriate to consider for granting a dimensional variance.
Okay, but it's still reasonable for us to, it's still reasonable that we require a dimensional variance to put a shed in the side yard?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, 'cause
still,
there's-
Yeah, that's
yeah,
separate.
that's separate issue.
And the reason, or a reason we don't want sheds in side yards is because the side yard setback is relatively small. And
Well, I think
shed-
it's probably more for aesthetics, in my opinion, in
Yeah.
terms of,
okay.
you don't want sheds in the front of a house or the side. The idea is to be in the backyard.
Okay.
So you just get into the, is there a hardship? Is there I mean, in other words, if you don't have a backyard,
Yeah.
then that would seem to be a hardship that
Right,
you can't put a shed in the backyard if you don't have a sufficient backyard.
Right, I would say from an aesthetic perspective, you're clean because all the houses in your neighborhood, you don't have a space to put a shed in the backyard. And there's houses all over that area with sheds in the side because there's no room, some homes don't have garages. So side yard sheds are, if not common, at least they're not uncommon.
One example that comes to mind is like, there's like down the Therian Drive down on the bay.
Yeah.
No one has backyards where they can put a shed, and
Yeah.
typically the
Correct.
sheds are in the side yard or in the front, so.
Correct.
It's just it's a factual basis, case by
Yeah.
case, based on the circumstances presented.
Yeah, my concern was access, if, fire access, if it's not reasonable under our regulations.
Right.
to
And I
consider
think
that.
that's what Aaron said, that you mentioned the fire code, which would,
Okay.
there are other regulations that can come into play aside
Okay.
from the dimensional variance standard.
I do believe when we rehabilitated the home, we increased the access considerably around the entire home on that first floor by removing a lot of what was garden boxes. It's pretty open on that side that you can move. We move large, a lot of material down to the dock.
Okay.
So I think from a fire safety perspective, I'm not a professional, but it is pretty open back there. And
Okay,
the space between the sheds, you bring up a very good point.
Yeah.
would be
yeah, but I may be barking up the wrong tree, thinking
Yeah, I think-
18 inches, I was doing this and saying, holy cow, I can't
Yeah.
get through that. But, okay.
I guess for the sake of this, we can say somebody can get around, they've made it more
Yeah.
accessible with what they have.
Yes,
We
okay,
can
thank you.
Stick to the.
Thank you.
Stick to the
Thanks
points
for
that
putting up with the
think, but
discussion.
yeah.
My son's come through with the sandbags.
All right, any other questions? Abutters or interested parties? Nothing on, we're good. Okay. Somebody like to make a motion to vote?
I make a motion to vote.
Second,
Second.
Want me to go?
Mr. Furell, would you like to lead us off?
Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve the petition. The presence of the shed does not provide, as I was considering, a safety hazard. It is, having a shed is a reasonable accessory structure, particularly given that you don't have a basement and, can't have a basement. So, using that shed to store your flood abatement gear and anything else you'd like to put in there is a typical use. And to deprive you of that would lessen your ability for full enjoyment of your property. So, Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve. Ms. Roberts?
I vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
I vote to approve for the reasons stated by Mr. Furiel.
Vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
Chairman votes to approve the reasons stated by Mr. Furell. I think it's a reasonable request and we're just trying to cover our bases. But if we couldn't have a shed close to the property line, I don't think anybody'd have a shed in Highland Park, Compton's Point. So, well, good luck. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn. Oh, can we adjourn? We have one more item.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, you should adjourn.
So,
So
yeah,
make a
to
motion to
adjourn
adjourn?
this,
Adjourn as the zoning board of review, but there's still a planning board of appeal.
the zoning board of appeal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So motion to,
So I make a motion to
motion to adjourn
as the zoning.
as
board
a
of
zoning,
review.
okay, second.
I second it.
So zoning board of review is done. Now you can open up to the zoning board of appeals.
Planning board.
Well, it's zoning board of appeals. There's no-
Jeez, guys confusing me first.
Feel of a zoning enforcement official, not a planning board.
Yes.
You don't feel.
Oh, I'm sorry, right, the change of terminology.
Yeah, zoning, so you can open up the zoning board of appeals,
Open up. and-
just open it up.
Same way?
Yeah, so that, because that application was approved, it renders the notice of violation moot and can be dismissed. So now you can close, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, second.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting is.
All right, thank you.
We'll figure it out.
That was the first. I think.
That's a first.